Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So as Moon, you said, it's a special event. Actually, it's special for me as well. And before I gave numerous, speeches on this similar topic, and all of them are just like promotion of the innovation method, innovation spirit in the community, right? Trying to help a community. But this one actually is the first one. Meng Yu and Fan Dian asked me to put it into like a mini training course. That's the first, attempt to do that. That's why I gave a name, of course, ITH-101. So maybe it's a little bit, little bit historical value here, right? So the title I put into here is the mini training on ingenious thinking. The reason I didn't particularly pick innovation, innovative, creative, inventive, but I picked ingenious. This word, I have some reason I'm going to explain later on. So let's get started from now. Let me see. Okay. All right. So here a lot of familiar, face, right? Those people we call the great people. No doubt about that, right? Those people has many common characteristics, and in their, what they show, what they're doing, we can see, they are all positive, flexible, very focused, and always proactive. They're persistent, passionate on what they are doing, and goal-oriented and self-motivated, right? But they also, it's also our focus today, right? They're all ingenious, right? So I didn't, particularly use their innovative. Of course, they're innovative, but I like to use this word to describe more accurately. Okay. All right. So, okay, how can I remove this? All right. So anyway, the ingenious thinking, it's an essence of the creative thinking. The reason I choose a word I can show here, illustrative. So let's say creative, the definition is original and inventive, right? And actually, ingenious is a subset of the creative, because creative is a large concept. So ingenious is original, inventive, is similar as a creative, but also clever. Now you can see the difference. Creative focus on new or different, right? But ingenious focus on new or different and clever. So what's that mean? The difference you can see, if something only different, it may not have high value, right? Make a difference, probably it's easy. But if you make it different and also have high value, it's not easy. That's why those great people, they focus on not only creativity, but also cleverness. Okay, that's the point that I'm trying to point out here, right? Of course, those great people are very few in the whole world, and we don't expect, most people like us to become such kind of great people. Maybe in this audience in the future, maybe one or two maximum, right? So most of us are ordinary people. But ordinary people, you can see if you look carefully, ordinary people also often shows some extraordinary thinking as well. Okay, so those people, make a lot of accomplishment. So the purpose, I did a study, for a long time, is trying to find out what kind of tricks they are using to reach that point, to have such kind of accomplishment. Maybe they use those tricks subconsciously, not intentionally. But if we find those tricks, then we can learn from it. That's the purpose of the whole study, right? So after long time study, it's like decades long study, right? For those some noise. Okay, clever cases. So I can, put some basics into how to stimulate ingenious thinking. So main finding is, one is ingenious thinking seems to be stimulated by the use of certain approaches. People are using it, sometimes intentionally, sometimes subconsciously. Sometimes they even don't know they use those approaches, but we can reverse engineer to find out what approaches probably they might have used. This type of approaches applicable to different field. That's another finding, right? So all different fields, actually the approach people are using is quite similar and quite overlapped. And I can remember, there is an old method called the trees, and that method is particularly applicable to apply for new patterns, because that method is, came from study bunch of patterns by a Russian guy. But here I try to broaden the scope more to see how those approaches can cover almost all different fields. And then another one is ordinary people should be able to learn and master those approaches easily, right? So the whole purpose is we like to learn such kind of approaches and apply them to our own job, to our own work, right? For our own benefit. And another thing is the total number of the approaches is not that much, not many, right? So it's not like infinity more. So it's not many. That's a good point. Good side we find out. All right. So for those people make an extraordinary accomplishment, most likely we can have illustrate their thinking. Looks like they go into two directions. Okay, I put this cylinder as a representative of ordinary thinking, like a range or scope, okay? So the people are thinking this way normally in this range. But what those people are doing is they, in horizontal direction, they trying to expand in horizontal, okay? And in the same time, also getting deeper in vertical direction to understand the object in a deeper way. All right. Combine these two directions, we can illustrate like this, right? So their mind, actually, the scope of their mind thinking is much larger in volume-wise, if we represent them as a volume, than the ordinary thinking. So the gap between the ordinary thinking and those people thinking, you can see it's a big room to generate ingenious ideas. So most ingenious ideas probably generate in this gap between them. Okay, that's kind of illustrate, right? To give you a visualized sense. All right, to say that, of course, we have to put it into like a frame, right? Framework. So here's a framework. So the most used approaches of those people, to stimulate ingenious thinking, we can put into a frame like, okay, how to stimulate the ingenious thinking, we already know, going wider in horizontal direction, going deeper in vertical direction, right? But for detail, then in going wider, basically, expand your scope, include more objects you are thinking, and going deep, you can group them into like 3 different categories. Okay, one is look at the traits or characteristic or properties of your object, right? And then look at the relationship between different objects. Then you look at the changes of those properties and those relationships. So this 4 category most likely cover, I won't say 100%, probably 95% of the approach that people are using. So that's why underneath we find like 30 plus approaches to stimulate such kind of ingenious thinking. And this 30 approaches can be grouped into the 4 different categories. All right, then it's always has the top and the blocked. I don't know. Okay, let me try and see if I can still continue. So after this one, set from this page, I'm going to pick 5 approaches from the whole list as an example to explain today. And each approaches, I use 3 slides. Okay, first slide, I'm going to explain what that approach is. Talk about a little bit details about this approach. And the second one, I'm going to show an example, the people how use this approach. The third slide, I'm going to show a scenario. I probably give the audience 2 minutes to think about. If you have any idea, then you can type in the chatting box. And after that, I'm going to give you an answer of that scenario and to see how the people use that approaches. Okay. So approach 1. Approach 1. Yeah, I always use a simple drawing to illustrate the meaning of that. So approach 1 is very simple. It's go beyond the normal scope. Okay. So you can see I put the red dot out of this, circle. It's like similar as people are thinking about, thinking outside of the box. But the question is, we need to know details and you know how to do it, right? It's easy to say that, but you need to know how to do it. That's why I'm going to get into a little bit detail on this approach. So for example, choose a number out of a normal numerical range, right? For example, you're doing these things, you're doing this job, you talk about, relate to some numbers, maybe, the number, let's make up the number between 100 and 300. But you can think about, if I choose the number, let's say 400, what happens, right? Even though the number, the people rarely use it. Or I choose a number 20, what happens, right? So you purposely choose some number out of the normal numerical range, your comfortable zone, and to see what happens. Sometimes probably give you a fresh idea. Okay, consider a trait or property which is not ordinary properties. So let's, you look at any object, you immediately come to your mind a list of the traits or properties or characteristics of that object, right? So you may need to purposely think about an object not in that list. That one probably give you some new ideas, okay? Broaden a range in time domain, right? We think about a process, we think from beginning to end, then you probably will think, okay, after the end, what happens? Yeah, a very good example is in about 20 years ago, people are so hot on the RFID reader. So every startups jump to the fray to develop a RFID reader, right? One company, they jump to the pool, but they didn't develop the RFID reader. Instead, they developed a RFID blocker because they look at one step further. saying, okay, if everybody uses RFID, then there's a privacy issue, and that time maybe the market need a RFID blocker, right? So they obviously look in time domain beyond a normal range that people are looking at that time, right? Even though that time the RFID is so hot. And then next one is think about a place which is normally not considered. Okay, for example, a region out of your normal consideration, a place or a country, right? There's many examples. I'll give you one example. A large accounting company in US, and when the people are outsourcing, immediately we say, okay, outsourcing, we go to China, we go to India, we go to Asia, we go to Vietnam. This company, yes, go to Asia, but they also think differently. They say, hey, can we do outsourcing just inside the United States? When they saw that direction, immediately they find an opportunity. The company is in Washington D.C. They went to Oregon and find out some Indian tribes, because Indian tribes, they are economic disadvantages, and the pay is low. Similar like Asian country, of course, is still a little bit high, but they outsourcing part of their job to the Indian tribe, sign a contract, and then they immediately find advantages because it's inside the United States. You don't have a security issue. You don't have export import issue. So a lot of jobs which cannot be export or outsourced into the Asia, you can easily outsource into that tribe. So that's kind of interesting. That when Vince Weeks report their big plan, and it's a kind of splash, right? So, but my question is, why other company didn't think it that way, right? This company obviously is more innovation, more innovative than their peers. And of course, search unfamiliar application of a device. A device normally is purposely built, right? So for some applications, but a lot of time they may be used for other purposes, like a CCD, right? Everybody knows that story. CCD originally built for like recorded data, but eventually it become a camera, the heart of camera, right? So take an action which does not match your identity. When people take actions, and they always think about it, okay, I'm a professor, I cannot do this, I should do that, right? I'm an engineer, I should do this, I should not do that. Or I'm a CEO, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, right? But those kind of scope really sometimes limit people's thinking, and a lot of time you may think outside of that. Okay, you may say, oh, I can do that, right? There's many examples. I don't want to elaborate too much today because we don't have time. Okay, anyway, so this kind of approach, we studied approach 1, right? Go beyond the normal scope. Now we use an example. Let's talk about example. Okay, choose a number out of the normal numerical range. All right. Okay, these two guys came from Russia originally, went to Scotland, and as a research professor doing that, they scratch their head, saying, okay, why can't we, do something different, do something big, right? Why can't the thickness of a material be reduced to a single layer of atom? At that time, it's like, this is 2007, I believe, 2007. Okay, at that time, nobody think about that. Everybody think about how can we get the material only one layer atom, right? It's almost impossible. And any material will be thousands and 10,000 or millions layers of atoms, right? And this two guys there, there to say, okay, I'm going to make a one layer material, all right? But it's not easy, right? So they thought, okay, let's choose a material and push away all the layers, just to leave one layer. Okay, this is kind of illustration. I borrow this figure from my book. So so you can see they push away all the layers and leave one layer, right? How can they do that? Okay, there is a story. They use a very clever way to do it, very simple, very cheap way to do that. We don't want to talk about too much today. Okay, so the bottom line is they choose material graphite, all right, and use some tapes, Scotch tapes, and to stick away all the extra layers. And eventually they got graphene, all right? So single layer of atoms of carbon. Now, they are the first one to produce this material in the whole world, right? And got the Nobel Prize in 2010. Is that beautiful? They just think about, to get out of the range of the layers, number of layers, and just directly go to the single layer, the minimal layer. All right, so that's an example. Now we do exercise. Okay, I'll give you a scenario. As a high school student, if you wanted to launch a great space program to get the NASA's attention, what are you going to do? All right, I counted the time, 2 minutes. All right. Any idea, you can type in the chatting box. Where is the chatting box? Hold on. Oh, chatting box. All right. Yeah. Anything you can think about. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you a hint. Hold on. Huh? Oh, why cannot do it forward? Hold on. Oh, yeah, stuck. Okay. Take a number out of normal numerical range. Okay. For example, numerical range, the number was value in certain way, then you, okay, who can see your message record on? Okay, everybody, right? Everybody can see the chatting window, I guess. Okay, create a system to colonize a planet without oxygen. Good. Okay, who can see? Yeah, I believe everybody can see. No, that's fine. Okay, please respond in the chat. Okay. Huh? Oh. Let's see. I believe. Okay, yeah, good. Some participation. All right, we have 14 seconds to go. Store oxygen, create plant house. Okay. Yeah, that's one. All right. I'll give you a solution, okay? It's just one of the solution, right? So it could be millions of different solutions. Create a sensor device that can sense frequency outside of the satellite range and detect. Okay. All right, follow this approach. Let's see. Why this one didn't work? Oh, when I open this chatting, it didn't work. Huh? Okay, stuck. Hold on. It's stuck. Okay. So a student might be thinking, how about make a satellite that is much smaller than the normal satellite, right? So like a size or weight. So there is one guy, Indian guy. It's a high schooler. His team used a 3D printer to generate a satellite. Generate a satellite, it's very light. Okay, it's only 64 grams. It was the lightest satellite at that time. Okay, so immediately got the attention from NASA. So NASA launched the satellite in 2017. And this satellite successfully measured temperature, pressures, magnetic field, microorganism during the flight. So immediately make some news in the public domain. So it's kind of, example for you guys, right? So of course, there is many examples, many solutions for the scenario, but this is one other scenario you can see, look at it. All right, now let's talk about approach 2. Approach 2, think symmetrically, just like, the butterfly, right? And so think of two opposite, opposing properties. Like when you think about something good, don't forget, think something maybe bad, right? When you think about something, the advantage of something, and you probably also, you don't miss to think about disadvantage of that, right? Like a conductive or resistive, right? They are a pair of the opposing property, right? You consider symmetrical actions like a giving and receiving, or giving a take, right? Appearing and disappearing, moving and stay, all those kind of opposing kind of actions, right? Symmetrical thinking in the time domain, the beginning and end in a process, or past and the future, etc., right? Look in opposite directions, front to rear, up to down, and the left to right, forward to backward, all those kind. This approach to remind you, anytime you think about something, you better to think about some opposite properties, okay? So that's why broaden your thinking and guarantee your thinking is, not one-sided. All right. Oh, a special case, right? A special case is when you think of both sides, but you purposely ignore the normal side, but always go to the opposite side. That's when we call what? We call reverse thinking, right? Everybody familiar with reverse thinking is. But here you can see I put the reverse thinking in the big picture. Actually, it's one special case of thinking symmetric. All right, now we get another example of this. So consider symmetric actions, appearing and disappearing, right? This is also a student, 20 years old in Stanford, right? It's not fresh, maybe sophomore. He might have been thinking in the classroom, why do the text message from all the texting apps only automatically appear on the phone and not automatically disappear from the phone? Okay. Of course, exactly what he was thinking, I don't know, but I guess, right? He may think that way. All right. So based on this thinking, he developed something called a Snapchat, right? A message app. And this one can, the message after you read it will disappear in 10 seconds. When he put this app into the market, it's so welcomed by the teenagers, because all teenagers don't want their parents look at their message, obviously, right? So his company grows so fast. And in a few years, I remember Facebook trying to buy his company for $3 billion, but he refused. And eventually they got the IPO in 2015, I believe. Now, I just checked last week. The market cap of his company now is $22 billion. But question is, I always, feel fascinating, right? So many people develop apps for the text messaging. But why nobody think about in the symmetrical way to develop its function, right? So until this guy, it's a young guy, 20 years old, to have this idea. It's amazing.
Yeah, excuse me, Dr. Shah. Actually, the students here, they did the snapshot with MIT App Inventor. They develop an app on the phone. On the similar features, but not exactly this feature with other features.
But later than Spiegel, right?
Yeah, it's probably more recent, right?
Yeah, more recent, right? So here's the first one, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah. He developed this like 2010. Yeah, 20 years old, right? In Stanford. Okay. Yeah, of course, you're right. So that's good. Okay, exercise for this one. Oh, exercise, huh? Oh yeah. Now we have a second scenario. Okay, if you are a video lover and wanted to make a short video to put on YouTube and hope attract millions of views in a short period of time, what are you going to do? I'll give you a hint. Okay, consider symmetric actions, giving and take. Okay. All right. So let's start the 2 minutes. Okay. Let me see if anybody has good idea about this. That's fun. Okay. How to launch a small satellite? Oh, how to launch a small satellite? I don't know. It's combined with other combined with other satellite. Anybody has idea? Okay, give small donation to people who share the video with others. Yeah, there's some similarity. Yes, good. Very blue. Okay. Memes tag millions of others so they hate me. That's creative. And check on me. Huh. Yeah, this could be a creative one. All right. Create a tag that YouTube algorithm is attracted. That's not easy at all. Okay, and actually people will watch it. I tried it before. It worked. Oh, really? Okay. That's good. As long as you tried it. Have 10 seconds. I got a 2.5 view in 3 days. Oh, great. Yeah, 2.5 thousand. It's not bad. Yeah, it's good. Okay. So I'm going to give you the solution of this. Well, you know the solution? No, probably not. Okay.
I do not.
All right. So a video producer might be thinking, okay, I guess, right? Everything, I guess here, nobody tell me. Okay, how about having a policeman give car driver money instead of taking money from a driver as fines? All right, so this is a video. The police car follow a passenger car and pull over this lady. The lady feels so strange. Really feel told the policeman hey, I follow the rule and I didn't violate any traffic rules, right? The priest told her, yeah, you're right. I follow you for a while and see you, strictly follow the traffic law as appreciation. We are going to give you $100 as a reward. You can see the lady now is so happy, get the free $100, right? And this video, after this video put on YouTube, it's called the Good Cop Pullover Prank, okay? Attract more than 1 million views in just 3 days after it was released. Actually, it's a real story in 2014. Is that nice? Just based on think symmetrically. All right. So now we go to why it always this. All right. So now let's learn approach 3. Approach 3, I call it pay attention to differences, right? So pay attention to differences in the characteristics of things, right? Some things, different things, some properties are same, some properties are different. So you pay more attention on the difference. And beware of differences in conditions, circumstances, needs, a lot of areas, right? So you can name it. Don't ignore the difference between different regions and different times. The situation definitely, last year and this year is different. The situation from this country to, Europe is different. So always pay attention on those kind of differences. Uncover subtle and hidden or tiny, small differences. Those are differences if you don't pay special attention, you just ignore, right? You overlooked. But sometimes you see those kind of, subtle difference that give you a big stimulation. Analyze the difference between elements in a structure. So for a particular structure, there's many elements, and look at what the difference can help you. And intentionally create a difference between things that look the same. So particularly for a lot of things, that's for differentiation, right? Many companies doing the same thing. Many companies produce same products, but every company trying to differentiate themselves. That's the purpose, is trying to be different from other, their peers. But the question is, how can you do that, right? That's a key point. All right, let's give an example. Pay attention to the difference in the characteristics of the things, okay? This is Dr. Lin, Dr. Benjamin Lin, okay? He worked in MIT, not MIT, IBM in 1980s, okay? He is a Taiwanese. And that time he might be thinking, how about exporting the difference in reflex index between the air and the water, because he's doing lithography, okay, for the chip manufacturing. Now, traditionally, you have a lens, you have a mask, you have a wafer, right? You put the, use a lithography, put the mask, the diagram on the wafer, and you produce a chip, right? But people always hope to get more and more finer in the structure. But the question is, the structure, the fineness is always limited by the wavelengths of the light source you're using, okay? Now, he got to some idea from watch the fish in the water, because the water has index, refractive index 1.5. Air has refractive index 1.0. So when you focus to a water, the fringes, the structures will be much thinner. All right. So they propose something called immersion lithography. That means he put the water just between the lens of the wafer. Now, immediately, because of a reflective index difference, immediately it increased the resolution to manufacture the structure of the chipset by 30% without change anything. Same machine, same lithography instrument, everything's the same. Just put the water there, and you got 30% increase. Saved the industry billions of dollars. And just because of, he got a numerous award and become the, the member of Academy, and the method now be widely adapted by the industry. Industry used this method for quite a while. So it's interesting to see, right? So just look at this difference of the refractive index and make such kind of big impact. All right, now we get the third exercise scenario. Too many technical, too many acronym. I use this scenario as a little bit away from that. Okay, a New York businessman owner wanted to call other company CEOs to build a relationship, but most of the time, he was blocked by executive assistant. Right, executive assistants always block you, right? Say, oh, you want to talk to our CEO? Okay, let me check their schedule. Oh, the earliest opening is 5 weeks ago, or 5 weeks later, right? So he always have to wait for many weeks to reach those people. Okay, now I'll give you a quiz. How could he speak directly to the C-level people easily? Use this. Okay, hint, use approach, uncover easily overlooked differences. All right, so let's see any chatting. Okay, I start the 2 minutes timer. I'm thinking, okay, good. Talk about buy something. Yeah, that could be. Okay, okay. Yeah, that's probably can attract the assistant to connect to the CEO if you buy big things. Okay, just let me see, it's a personal friend, and if they knew that, but if without friend, how do you do that? Okay, talk about sharing patterns, but CEO may not have care about too much about the patterns. They care about business plan. Anyway, CTO probably cares. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of input. That's good. I appreciate that. And create a big business opportunity. Okay. I know you guys always look at the business side, but uncover, yeah, some differences. I'm going to show you. Ask someone who knows the C-level people, such as asking someone below them to, yeah, that could be, you can make a connection or go through the connections. But not quite that. Okay, let's see. We have 25 seconds. That's kind of fun, right? Think about the difference. Think about, I know I cannot tell too much. If I tell too much, then you immediately know. The people in the office, in the company, large company, they come to work, and the people are different. Make invitation for some events. Okay, all right, the time is out. Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody input so many thoughts, but I give you a one answer to match that particular approaches. The answer, your answer probably match other approaches. Let's try that. Okay. All right. See, a businessman might be thinking, how about take advantage of the working time difference between executives and administrative assistant, executive assistant, right? Actually, this guy is Bloomberg's real story. All right. Remember, will always be proud to share this experience with other guys. What did he did? He always called those serial people in other companies early in the morning because he knew the assistants always came to the office much later than executives. You know, the assistants always came like 9 to 5, right? But executives, they have too many things in the mind, so they always come to the company early. And so if you call in the early hours, the guy pick up the phone is that guy, is that CEO, okay? So he always uses this trick to connect the people. So you can see he pay a little bit attention on the working time difference in those large New York, large companies, and make his business be more successful than his peers. All right. That's kind of interesting, right? Okay, now let's talk about approach 4. We total have 5 approaches today. We already have too many time. Okay, so approach 4 I picked here is consider changes. All right. Make changes to things that haven't changed in a long time. A lot of things, the people are easy to say, oh, we want to change the status quo. Yeah, that's that meaning. Okay, so, but then you have to purposely do that. A lot of things in the status quo for a long, long time, maybe this time to have a change. Or you can try to make a change to see if some good things happens, okay? Transform static to dynamic. A lot of things normally in the static status, right? If you change them or transform them into a dynamic status, what happens? Okay, modify some immovable things to movable, particularly for large things, for heavy things. Normally they don't move, but if you make they're movable, maybe you got a new thing, all right? New product. Or observe how things change before and after a process, obviously, right? In a process, something changes, but something didn't change. So pay more attention on the changes. Don't miss out on the inconspicuous changes. Some of those kind of changes, if you don't pay attention, you don't see it. But those changes may be important. Believe that the only constant in the world is change. Okay, so you always beware the change will happen. All right. So let's see example. Transform statical dynamic. All right. Yeah, this example actually provided by Fan Dian the other day in my group. Okay, this guy saw, okay, in other lab, he might be thinking several years ago, how about making the thickness of the fabric change with temperature? So far, any fabric, I don't see any fabric changes thickness versus temperature, right? Because if you have a jacket, you put a thick jacket in the wintertime, you put the thin shirt in the summertime. But he was thinking, saying, hey, if I have a fabric, it can change the thickness. Then in the winter, I make it, become thicker. It keep a lot of air and it can be good insulated, right? In the summertime, I drop to a very thin layer and a very good heat conductive. So in that case, maybe we only need one jacket for the whole year, right? So his company exactly developed such kind of fabric. You can see in the low temperature, the fabric becomes so thick, but in high temperature, the fabric becomes very thin, okay? So because of that, then right now self-regulates the fabric. Now is a hope for the future called smart clothing. Okay, is that good? Just to change static to dynamic. The fabric thickness become a dynamic phenomenon, right? Okay, now we have the another scenario. Scenario, the highway guardrails are great for preventing cars from rolling over in the event of an accident, right? But a severe impact between a car and the guardrail itself can still cause casualty, right? So do you have any good suggestions for improvement of this situation? All right, 2 minutes. Let's say, make a better airbag. Okay, that's a one. All right. Better airbag. Okay, and make the okay. Can I? Okay. Oh, I expand and make the guardrail softer. Yeah, it's close. It's close. Make the guardrail made with flexible. Yeah, very close. Is this one good? Everybody get it. Certain point. Okay. Spring. Oh, that's even closer. Oh, flexible that absorbs the force and elastic. Yes. Okay. Make the rail slightly moldable and near the road. Okay. Yeah, this one. Every answer is very close to the answer. Okay, rails absorb impact and make material too soft. But question is, you haven't fit to the approach saying, okay, I forgot to give you the hint. All right, the hint is, that's weird. Okay, the hint is modify the immovable to the movable. All right, elastic, rubber. All right, or polymers, decaying weight. Oh, okay, elastic. But this one good. So, oh, this length of rail make a prevent from. Okay, so everybody, the answer is very close to the answer I have, but you will see the difference. Okay, we have how many? Oh, it's time is up. Okay, so I'm going to show one example, one solution here. Of course, you guys solution also solutions. All right. Okay, a designer of the rail guardrails might be thinking, how about make the parts of guardrails movable, not fixed, to reduce the momentum of the impact? That's very, very important, right? When the car hits the guardrail, the impact depends on the momentum. Momentum depends on the duration of time between the car hits the guardrail to car stop. So if the guardrail is fixed, the car hits the guardrail, the car will immediately stop, right? But when the car immediately stops, you have huge momentum to absorb. So those momentum will be a burden on the passengers. That's why the passenger got hurt, got casualty, got injured, right? So this guy in the Korea company, they designed a completely different guardrail with a movable parts. You see that? It has a rotatable, like a bumper. So when the car hits the guardrail, they can rotate. Each one will rotate. So the car will continue move forward for a little bit of time. But that time is very, very important because that time duration reduce the impact of the momentum huge to save lives. Is that nice? Right? So that's why I'm saying the approach is modifies the immovable to the movable, because the traditional conventional guardrail has all the parts fixed, but this one has the parts rotatable. All right, so this one already be installed in Okay, let's say in Korea, Japan, United States, save a lot of life, I expect. All right, now we get into the last approach. Oh, there's so many approaches. What time now? Talk too slow. I talk so slow today. Anyway, so it's closed. Okay, so the approach is remove unnecessary constraint. I thought this one also very important. So exam common sense or tradition-based constraint. A lot of people in mind will say, oh, we cannot do this, or we cannot do that, and because of this, because of that. So those kind constrain your mind. You need to carefully examine. Probably a lot of constraints are false, not real. Don't assume there are constraints that don't actually exist. So some constraints may not exist at all, and don't assume that. The typical example is the Columbus egg, right? Columbus egg is so famous, everybody knows, well known, right? It's a story, and Columbus and put the egg and the crashed egg. But anybody in the audience have thought about that? What we learned from that? What we learned from that story? Yeah, we know Columbus is smart, clever. But the question beyond that, what do we learn from that? Okay, in my opinion, we learn from Columbus from that story is that all those people set a constraint in their mind, assume Columbus has a constraint put on, saying you cannot destroy the egg, cannot crash the egg. But actually, Columbus never put this constraint on them, right? So they all cannot accomplish the task Columbus asked them to do. But actually, Columbus saying, okay, it's easy. I crash the egg and stand up the egg. So that kind of scenario we need to avoid. Hold on. All right, don't accept the conclusion that that's impossible easily. A lot of time we say, okay, yeah, that's impossible, right? If you're trying to do some project, your senior or your peers will say, no, we don't do that. It's impossible. Yeah, that's true. A lot of things is impossible. But what I trying to emphasize here is don't accept such kind of conclusion easily. You better to examine, better to think about more, and probably you'll find different light. All right. Other people's constraint don't have to be your constraint. Of course, everybody is different. If some constraint, some people feel necessary, but it's not necessary to be your constraint as well, right? Maybe you have different conditions or you have different mindset. All right, you can question anything that is well established. That's important, right? We always look at something well established. Everybody accept this. Everybody think this is, a theory. Everybody follow that. So we better not to question that because it looks like idiot, right? But question a lot of time you have breakthrough really start to question that. So we have to bear in mind. So that's why I'm saying, so remove unnecessary constraint. Of course, necessary constraint will still stay, right? All right, example. So you question anything that is well established. This guy called Dan Schickman, okay? He's a Israel professor. About 30 years ago, came to United States doing research in the national lab, standard lab. And he might think in that time, say, it is a well-established, well-known theory that solid matter has only two forms. One is crystalline, right? One is amorphous. Crystalline has regular lattice. Amorphous solid have no lattice at all, okay? So it's a well-established, every chemistry book saying that, right? Every chemistry professors doing their research based on this theory. But he thought, could it be wrong? Okay, so in his research, actually he find a solid matter status form is different from crystal and different from amorphous solid. So he called it quasi-crystal because that material has certain lattice, but the lattice is floating, okay? So he thought that probably that's a third form of solid material and nobody found it before. So he published a paper, right? Obviously. Then he was treated so badly. Everybody in this chemistry field is saying, this guy should go back to read the chemistry 101. He didn't know the basics of chemistry. And the research institute he's working, visiting, saying, okay, you better go home, okay? Don't contaminate our reputation. Even one Nobel Prize winner saying, just tease him, saying, I only know there is something called a quasi-scientist, quasi-chemist, no quasi-crystal. However, so you can see before Schickman, there's two forms of solid state. But after Schickman, there is three state. And the experiment proved he is right. So he got the Nobel Prize. I cannot see the year. It's 2011, right? 2011. Yeah.
That's right. It's 2011.
2011. He got the Nobel Prize, 2011. You can see everybody against him. But he dared to question that. Dared to question the well-established theory. All right. So now, final, last scenario. Assume you are a professor studying plastic materials. What great research topic would you like to choose? Okay, let's see, 2 minutes. All right, let's see what kind of great topic you want to choose. Plastic material. Think about, okay, let me give you a hint. Don't accept the conclusion that that's impossible either. Okay, read to that. All right, let's see. Super plasticity, okay, yeah. Form of plastic, bioplastic. So many things, even I don't know. Okay, good. Plastics, creating the hard plastic that can take hit from bullet and can conduct. Okay, you got the champion, Yin Jian. Yeah, Yin Jian got the champion. All right, we stop here. You're right. Can conduct electricity. All right. Yin Jian is a champion. Okay. All right, so let's see. Imagine we got a champion. So a few professors at that time might be thinking, common sense tells us that it is impossible for plastic material to conduct electricity. Is that true? These three professors, okay, 2 American professors, 1 Japanese professor. They study the plastic. They're trying to find out the plastic actually can conduct electricity. And they are successful. Okay, the result is they find the material, conductive plastic material, and which open up a whole new field of research. Here's the result, initial result. You can see in the small print. normal plastic, the sigma is the conductivity is 10 to minus S. I forgot what S means per centimeter. The conductivity of their material is plus 38 S per centimeter. So the conductivity increased for 10 orders of magnitude. Of course, 3 of them got a Nobel Prize. All right. So far we talked about 5 approaches, right? Let's review that. That's an example, right? Go beyond the normal scope, think symmetrically, pay attention to the differences, consider changes, remove unnecessary constraint. Of course, there's many more, but we need a full-blown of a training course, right? That's we probably develop later in the future. Okay, now we talk about the approach are particularly useful for advanced tasks, advanced tasks. The purpose is here, I will emphasize that, is they use probably for 4 particular area to use those approaches. 1, solve a difficult problem. If a problem is not that difficult, it's an easy problem, probably don't need this, okay? Make a significant improvement of something, right? Create something new with a good value. That time you need those approaches. If a trivial task, who cares? You can do it, right? And then if you don't have problem, if you don't want to improve something, if you don't want to create something new, but you still have some task or job to do, right? So the 4th area is do a great job with a task. Then you also need this, all right? So that's why I'm saying, a Chinese saying is, nothing daunted. If you know math, physics, chemistry, right? I changed this, okay? Nothing daunted if you know the way approach to stimulate ingenious thinking. 走遍天下都不怕. Anyway, so ingenious thinking play very important role based on our study, and particularly 6 areas are very hot to use those kind of ingenious thinking, okay? So scientific research, technology development, design and plan, business and entrepreneurship, management and governance, and work creation. Okay, this 6 area is a major area that people use ingenious thinking a lot to accomplish great work, okay? And of course, beyond that, ordinary job and personal life also use those ingenious thinking. So basically, all field, we can use this trick, right? All right, so therefore, okay, the traditional STEM program may need a change. That's my suggestion, okay? So traditional program is science, technology, engineering, and math. That's nice, right? That's the knowledge base. It's very important. But I believe if you add that in ingenuity, so make the program become STEMmy, that definitely will be more productive. Okay, I'll probably stop here. All right, thank you everybody for your attention to attend this training. And the first book is about a collection of the approaches to stimulate, ingenious thinking. And the second book is 100 brain teasers to apply those approaches. And the third book in Chinese, right? 100 case studies with, each case has a picture. So the English book you can find on Amazon, and the Chinese book you can find timesbook.com.